Hi, today is well, what day is it? It's the 15th, it's Monday night. I decided to make a video, political video. I haven't made one for a little while. And I just, I think I get really upset with a few people. I mean, with, with a lot of people, with almost everybody in a way. Like there was this one guy on Alex Jones that who was saying, "Beam me up, Scotty," and it really does feel like that sometimes. I mean, because you just have all these people around, and they look at the weakest link, and they always want to seem to pick on the weakest link, you know, and they'll say, "Well, look at that guy over there, he gets he gets his little check or whatever, or he gets some money and." Some food or something. Let's go pick on him, Or uh, the thing is, everybody is getting money, getting a check that's a phony check. It's phony money. It's not real money. It's like when you pay for your gas, you're not paying the right price for gas. Gas could still be 35 cents a gallon. It's usually the price of gas that goes up before everything else. I grew up on a farm, and we had to pay twice as much for gas in one year, and it just changed the whole farming altogether. It changed the whole farming around the world. But you see, when the price goes up like that, and they don't have a real good reason for it, it really, you know, what we have is we have people that come along, like these people that have hives, and they just come along and they just every so often they just take all the honey, and then the bees are left out to work themselves to death, doing it all over again. And that's what happens all the time. So I get a little bit sick about hearing these people over and over again saying, well, why don't we just put a hurting on these people on unemployment and have them all get up, lose their checks so that they can go out and get in trouble by protesting and stuff like that. Well, why don't we all lose our checks and instead of just getting forcing people off unemployment and getting them in trouble. How about everybody lose your phony monopoly money? $5. Have you looked at the $5 bill? It looks just like monopoly money. So, um, especially Republicans, I'm so ticked off at a lot of them because they just think that the establishment is going to solve all the problems. The establishment is the problem. The establishment has always been the problem. The establishment goes back to kings and queens, which we still have. Kings and queens with dungeons and things we don't need, like that, where they have just total brigades and battalions, and, just naval blockades. And that's what we like. We've got the biggest imperialist government right now in the whole world that has ever seen. Um, but you ever talk about spending a little less for defense? Oh no, defense is off the table. You can't do that. Defense is you use money from Social Security. They've robbed Social Security to put more into defense. But that's why this one guy on Alex Jones said, "Beam me up, Scotty," because I mean, 9/11 was blatantly a blatant um, job of demolition. There's just no way that you could say it wasn't demolition. If you have your eyes open, you just take a look at the buildings. The buildings are just totally getting blown to pieces. They're not like falling down. Their dust is blowing out, not in, not falling down. And besides, steel doesn't just fall down like that anyway. The third grader, if would know better than that. But that's just it. Everybody's just dumbed down, and they just want to stay dumb, and they don't want to grow up, and they don't want to. put blame on anybody except the weakest link, and they're oh so afraid. Oh, I can't do this, and we wouldn't like it like the '70s. Oh, that was such a terrible time. The liberals were out and they were protesting back in the '70s. Oh, I'm afraid of those liberals. Yeah, you're afraid of getting out of the lobster box. You want to keep everybody in the little lobster or crab box and keep all your crabby stuff going on with the establishment that you think is so fine. It's the establishment that is printing all these phony monopoly dollars. So I just thought I'd respond because some of these people that say, well, you know it's the, the liberals' fault that we're into all this. No, it's the stock market's fault. It's the bankers' fault. It's the shyster's fault. That's whose fault it is. It's these people that are supposed to be our leaders that are just taking money off the top and running off with it and lying to you and lying to everybody else. See, it's one thing to be a leader and it's another thing to be a liar. And most of our leaders are liars, and so they're kind of defeating their purpose. So anyway, that's all I want to say for now. And you say, well, what does he know? Well, what do you know? Why don't you study? Why don't you find out what our leaders are really up to? You know, and then quit saying, well, let's just have these guys go out on the street and get them in trouble because we don't want to get in trouble. We got our check from some Uncle Sam some other kind of way, you know, or we got our money some we're just living paycheck to paycheck and we're doing our best for our country. Yeah, well, look what your country's doing for you. It's getting you involved in the murder of innocent civilians and torture and stock market fraud and everything else. The price of gas going up again. That's what your country's doing for you. So why don't we all protest?